Immigration and customs enforcement officials are facing growing backlash this morning following the killing of protester Alex Pretti in Minneapolis over the weekend. But views of ICE's actions appear to remain largely divided by party lines.
I don't question the credibility of ICE. They're doing an incredibly hard job. Look, we are all just feel sorry about what happened in Minneapolis. And this has happened over and over again. I mean, I'm not just talking about regarding ICE. I mean, they've got some failed local leadership.
Let me put it in the words of the sheriff in Cumberland County, Maine, when they took one of his recruits. He called it Bush League policing. And I think that sort of summarizes it. And there's no need for this overwhelming show of force. I believe what we're seeing is an attempt to intimidate the American people. These people are acting outside the Constitution. They're ignoring our laws, and we just can't keep supporting that.
Rina, Shah, and Kristian Ramos join me now. Rina is a geopolitical advisor, strategist, and former senior advisor to Republican House members. And Kristian is a former communications director for the Congressional Hispanic Caucus and a Democratic strategist. A warm Monday morning to you both. I hope you're all cozy enough considering the weather. But let's get to more on what is such a serious story from over the weekend. We also heard Republican Senator Bill Cassidy call for an investigation into ICE because of the shooting death of Alex Pretti. He seems to be bucking the trend from his party, Rina. What should we make of that?
Well, this isn't just another enforcement tragedy. It's the crash of aggressive federal raids into non-cooperative states. You know, look, Minnesota has policies that block safe jail handoffs. And what that does is forces ICE into high-risk community operations that turn routine operations into powder kegs, where things go wrong very fast. It's important to note the deceased Alex Pretti was an American citizen, an intensive care unit nurse who not only just saved regular American lives, but those of our veterans. He was not the target here. And I think what the great takeaway from his death is that when everyday Americans become collateral, we have shifted from border security to eroding trust at home. And that is not advancing immigration wins. That's losing the reasonable middle. And to me, the tragic death of Alex Pretti at the hands of these agents really should be a wake-up call for the pro-Second Amendment crowd. They should be aghast by his death. Because Alex was licensed to carry. There was no evidence that he had his weapon drawn. It was on his body. He was confronted by agents after helping a woman off the ground, and he was still executed by a federal agent, though there were multiple agents holding him down and even disarming him. So if these folks, again, the pro-Second Amendment crowd, if they're serious about the right to bear arms, which every American should be, then they should not stay silent when lawful carriers get disarmed and die anyway. This is about truth, not politics.
Kristian, what do you make of that? As Rina says, this risks for Republicans losing the middle. Democrats say they won't vote for an ICE funding bill this week. That could result in another government shutdown. What do you make of that calculation by Democrats?
Look, the reality here is this was a shocking, deeply scary moment in our country's history. And Alex Pretti was a patriot, and my heart goes out to his parents. His loss is profoundly sad. He should be alive today, and I honor his memory, right? This administration has done a lot to try to discredit him, and I just think we have to raise that up right at the top. Look, the problem for Republicans, these shootings in Minneapolis are only accelerating the exodus of 2024 voters who formed the coalition that helped Trump win that election. And I think there's the problem for Republicans are threefold, and I'll talk about Democrats in this. One, there's the immediate horror, right? You've got Renee Good, the detention of a 5-year-old Ramos, and now another horrific shooting scaring this country. Congress, which is the question you asked about, right? Democrats, what I find really heartening here is Republicans and Democrats are coming together now and saying, look, this is too much. This is a big problem. So to your question about, the politics of the shutdown, I don't really see Republicans having any good reason for putting forward a DHS bill that continues to allow ICE to do whatever they want. This thing where they're shooting people, American citizens, and not having any repercussions, not having any oversight. I think Republicans and Democrats agree, like, this cannot continue this way. Finally, I'll just make a little quick point on the politics of this. Republicans have taken an issue that used to be 80-20 for them, and they flipped it. They have lost Rasmussen, right? If you look at a recent YouGov poll on this issue, independents view ICE as making them less safe by a 50-24 margin. That is a huge canary in the coal mine problem for congressional Republicans. I think if they were smart, they would come to the table, negotiate with Democrats, and put forward a DHS bill that doesn't let ICE just shoot American citizens.
Yeah, I want to play for you both some key sound from yesterday. Let's listen to that.
When politicians, community leaders, and some journalists engage in that heated rhetoric we keep talking about, when they make the choice to vilify law enforcement, calling law enforcement names like Gestapo, or using the term kidnapping, that is a choice. When you choose to listen to that, that is a choice, and there are consequences and actions there also. I think we saw that yesterday.
What's the plan, Donald Trump? What is the plan? What do we need to do to get these federal agents out of our state? You thought fear, violence, and chaos is what you wanted from us, and you clearly underestimated the people of this state and nation.
And in our last few seconds, I just want you both to mention what you think is the most important thing for Americans to focus on coming out of this tragedy. Rina, let's start with you.
Yeah, look, I think there's an angle that's been flying under the radar that bears mentioning here. Many of these ICE agents were rushed through on truncated training timelines. I mean, not properly vetted, pushed out faster for the surge. And to me, that raises real questions about judgment in split-second moments. I mean, fragile egos under pressure, and why we're seeing excessive force instead of precision. And everybody should take note that just yesterday, Vermont's Republican Governor Phil Scott just called on Trump to pause these operations, hit reset, and de-escalate after these deaths of our fellow citizens. I think a Republican governor saying enough shows this unease is crossing party lines. It's not just blue state anger, it's policy creating inevitable flashpoints. And the bottom line here is this, it's that Alex Pretti's death isn't red or blue, it's American. When Republican governors call for pause, pro-Second Amendment folks should be demanding accountability for compliant carriers, and we should be questioning.
And Kristian, I just want to make sure I get your final thoughts in as
Yeah.
well, just before we run out of time. Kristian?
ICE was never designed to do what it is currently doing right now. I agree with my colleague here. This is not a red or blue thing. We cannot allow these folks to come into American citizens, harass American citizens, and shoot people. That is not the purpose of this agency. Republicans should join Democrats, and they should put some guardrails on here. It is politically popular in this moment to rein in this agency, which is out of control.
Democratic and Republican strategists don't always agree in these segments, but the fact that you both are on the same page, I think, says it all. Rina, Shah, and Kristian Ramos, thank you for your time today.